What's up, kings and queens? Welcome back, Bad Habits Kingdom. Just want to say thank you guys all so much for all your support. Really appreciate it, guys. I really love your guys' support. So tonight we're gonna be talking about this little girl. I knew about this case for a while. Yeah, most cases that I do, I've known about them for a while, but they bother the shit out of me, so that's why I bring them back up, just so you guys know. Because I know you guys hear me say that a lot, but the last case I did about Miss Camille Dotson, that one's not over yet. We're going to be making more videos. I actually did some recording today on the phone. We went to some areas that she supposedly lived in, and from a friend of the family sent me an address Kara and I went to just to drive by and just checking things out. We did some recording on the phone. We're going to be doing some more recording about that case, so stay tuned about the part 2 of Camille Dotson. But tonight we're going to be talking about a little girl. She was 7 years old. This happened in 1999. Her name was Karla Rodriguez. Now this one really hits home. I have a little girl. She's 1, and I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't. You know, there's things that just, there's a lot of question marks on this case. Now, this case, it's not like the other ones. All my other cases, the police presume that the 2 missing gentlemen and the missing Dotson, the police presume that they're dead. This case, the police presume that she still might be alive. And come to find out, one of the detectives working Karla Rodriguez's case lived in that neighborhood, grew up in that neighborhood, so he's taking a strong approach with this. And this happened back in 1999. She was 7 years old at the time. So from reports and from what I've researched so far, Karla was 7 years old and she would ride her bike in her neighborhood. Now, she lived by the Stratosphere, which people in Vegas, we call that area Naked City. And even back in 99, that was still called Naked City. It's one of the worst areas in town. Very violent, a lot of drugs, a lot of offenders. You know, a lot of sex offenders and stuff were in that area. You know, it's a fucked up area, part of town. It really is. You know, I'm not, bad mouthing people that live over there or anything like that, but it's just known to be a bad area. Now, Karla was riding her bike in her neighborhood, and supposedly a car, this is what another little girl saw this. Sorry, I need to go back some. So Karla was riding her bike. Her friend supposedly saw her the day she went missing. The last time she saw her, she saw Karla on her bike talking to a man that was in a car. And the man told her, "Get in the car." That's what the part she heard. She said that they were standing there. She was standing there talking to him, and she was able to hear the man say, "Get in the car." So she figured it was Karla's father. And she went ahead and went to school. Then that was it. Karla vanished, nothing ever since then. Now, when it comes to children, that is the worst fucking thing. It really is. I mean, they can't protect themselves. That's hard. I mean, that's fucking hard. I mean, I can't believe, these cases really get to me. That's one thing I mean, they really hurt. I mean, I feel for the families on this hard. The little girl. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. And I worry about that shit all the time. That's why we have alarms, guns. I mean, I get paranoid all the time because crime in Vegas is just rising. It's not getting any fucking better. It's just getting worse. Kara and I plan on moving out of here. We want to go to a small town where there's no crime, just like in the movie Sweet Home Alabama. Everyone knows each other, grew up together. That's what we want. We don't want, anything happening or anything like that. So Karla disappears. Now, I guess her father, she didn't come home. He figured that Karla was at her friend's house staying the night. Now, this was late at night. The next morning, supposedly, Karla did not go to school, and that's when they reported to 911. Mom came home after working all night, found out Karla wasn't in school, and they called 911. So she wasn't reported to the police until 12 hours after her disappearance, until anyone's last seen her. I don't understand that. When your daughter's 7 years old, I mean, even if she stays at a friend's house, you find out. I don't know if they were close friends with that family or what, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of communication. That just seems odd to me. Now, I'm not accusing the father. I'm not assuming or anything like that, but your daughter, 7-year-old daughter, doesn't come home, and you just assume she's at a friend's house staying the night. She's not 15, 16, 17, 18. I know that when I was growing up, we lived in a tight neighborhood. When I was about 13, 14, my mom dropped my curfew. I was staying out till 1 o'clock in the morning, always getting, my mom was always yelling at me about staying out late and all that stuff. But I had a group of friends with me at all times, at all fucking times. And finally at 14, she just was like, okay, you're not going to have a curfew, but at least call and let me know, every few hours, which I did, and this was when I was 14, 15. I would let her know, hey, just so you know, I'm over here, I'm going to be crashing over there, stuff like that, just so she was aware of where I was at, just in case if something did go wrong and I went missing, she was like, okay, he was here. When you're 7, you definitely need to be calling if your daughter doesn't show up. If she's supposed to be out front riding her bike and you don't see her all day or all afternoon, and you just assume she's staying at her friend's house, okay, go down to the friend's house. Call the friend's house if you don't have their number or something. That rubs me the wrong way. I don't like that. Like I said, I don't know the relationship, but back in 1999, I mean, it wasn't like it was in the 50s or 60s or 70s. Like my uncles would tell me when they were growing up, the neighbors would be allowed to spank them if they were doing something wrong. It wasn't like that back in 99. Now, from what I can see is that the police have been trying this new DNA evidence research. So the last time they have any kind of photos or footage is with Karla she was 7 years old. So they, got on the computer and showed pictures of what she could possibly look like now. I mean, you never know with cases like this because, like I said, she disappeared. She was a little girl. This could be she is still alive, which, of course, we all hope and pray she is. Or, the worst. It's bad. Either way, if she's still alive, she's been putting up with this nightmare all these years. If she is gone, that's just the worst fucking thing you could possibly do. To harm that little girl, to take her from her family. Now, apparently the little girl that saw Karla talking to the man in the car was trying to tell the teacher when she heard the news, like, hey, I saw Karla, and I guess the teacher wasn't listening, which I can see happening because teachers don't take kids seriously. I'll tell you what, one time this actually happened to me. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was about 17 and I was just shooting around a basketball. Now, I live right down the street from Red Rock Elementary School. Now, this is, if you live in Vegas, it's kind of by the Jones 95, Alta and Upland area, Alta and Decatur. It's like in that era, but it was a lot closer to Jones and 95 than Alta and Decatur. But that area, Alta and Upland were the main cross streets. And Red Rock Elementary School, that's where all my friends hung out. We always played football. See, when I was growing up, everybody was outside. We were always outside playing. It's not like nowadays where you don't see any kids outside. Like, when we were outside, we would have a bunch of people, we'd have full football teams going on, basketball over there, baseball going on. The girls would be playing on the playground. It was a bunch of kids outside all the time. Well, I was playing around at basketball because I wasn't really good. So I was just bored. And it was winter time. I know that because it got dark like at 5 o'clock. And I was playing that by myself, just fucking around, bored. And usually I'm never by myself, so I don't know why it was. But yeah, I was by myself just fucking around. And there was this guy in the field walking his dogs. He was letting his dogs just walk around. That was very common, so I didn't think anything of it. And I just kept going and going, fucking around. And my hair was like real crazy back then. It was like I never really did it, when I was playing sports and stuff. So it was always just like a huge mess. All of a sudden my cell phone rings and it's my buddy Cliff. And I'm like, he's like, hey, KY. Everyone called me KY or KB back then. I'm like, what's up? He's like, hey, man, are you at Red Rock right now playing basketball? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? He's like, dude, I just drew by there. He's like, listen, get out of there. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, that guy that's walking his dog is a fucking stalker, dude. He followed me home one time. All this shit. We've been, I never told you guys about him yet or anything like that, but he is fucking nuts, man. Get the fuck out of there. And I was like, well, why did you stop, man? He's like, well, I got to go to my girls. I'm late. Blah, blah, blah. Just get the fuck out of there. So I'm like, okay. So instead of walking, to the exit where the field was, I actually hopped the back fence. And then there was a street right there called Mayflower. And so I was like, okay, I'll just hop this fence, go down, take Mayflower back, the back way to my neighborhood. So I do. And then the only problem is, instead of going all the way the back way to my neighborhood, I wanted to get home quick. So I actually cut in front of the school. And I was still able to see him. He scared me. I was still able to see him in the school, but I saw him starting to leave. So I was like, okay, whatever, and I'm walking up my street. My house was about 8-9 houses up to the right. And I'm walking up Zion Street, and I get about 2-3 houses away from my house. And what it reminded me of is, like, you remember, if you ever seen Halloween 1, when Michael Myers is driving by Laurie, and he like looks out, drives by and leans his head to stare at him and keeps going. That's exactly what that guy did to me. I was like 2 houses away. I see him pull up. He looks his head out, and I was like, oh my God, like it did scare the shit out of me. And he kept going super, super slow. And then he got a little ahead to where I bolted into my house. Now it freaked me out, but I knew he didn't see me go into my house. Now, remind you, I'm 17, and when I was 17, I was, very aggressive. I was a lot, thicker because I worked out. I was a lot more in shape. I wasn't some little punk, but it did scare the shit out of me. I go with my sister. There used to be a Del Taco. I think the Del Taco is actually still there. It's right by Jones and 95. We go to Del Taco. I don't see a car inside, nothing. We come back. We eat. Now, I think nothing of it. I go outside to smoke a cigarette. And I see him driving up and down my street. Super fucking slow. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, we literally been gone for like an hour. And he's fucking still driving up and down my damn street. So I call my friend Joey. I'm like, hey man, this dude's fucking stalking me. Cliff told me about him. Get up over here. He lived around the block. I was like, bring the bats, because, we didn't carry guns or anything. We had bats and stuff. So Joey comes up. He coming by. Joey waves his arm out. He keeps driving up and down the road, staring at us. Now, we're down at the bottom of my driveway. And he's just driving up and down the road. So I was like, all right, this dude wants to play games. I'll be right back. Now, my uncle. Now, I know everybody has like a dad or a relative or something that's very dangerous. I'm going to say this. My uncle is the boogeyman himself. He is 6'3", 300 pounds, solid muscle. I mean, this guy is the baddest fucking guy I ever met. Now, I know we all have those people in our families, but I'm telling you, if you met this one, you would know right away. I seen him punk the shit out of a stocky ass dude. I'm telling you. So I tell my uncle, I'm like, hey, this guy's been doing this. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I say, he's been driving up and down the road. And he's like, are you fucking serious? So he gets up. He's walking down. My friend Joey's still at the end of the driveway. He's like, he's coming right now. My uncle goes, shh, like whistles hella loud and says, got a problem? And he waved something out the window. And it looked like a napkin or something. He waved something out the window and took off. That was it. Now, my uncle was like furious. He was like, what the fuck's been what happened? I was like, man, I don't know. My friend called me, told me that he's like a stalker. He was following him and shit, blah, 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 right? So time goes by, like a couple weeks, 3 weeks go by. I was staying at my buddy Max's house. I used to always crash at Max's house. He lived over on Charleston, Torrey Pines in Lantana. No free shout outs, but Lantana Apartments. And I was staying at his house all night, and I got up at like 5 a.m. and I'm walking home. And I'm walking down Alta, and I get almost to Upland. I pass Jones, and I'm almost to my neighborhood. I look across the street, and I see his car in a driveway. And I'm like, holy shit, there's the fucking guy. I know where he lives. And I call up Cliff and stuff, and I tell him, hey, dude, he lives about 5 houses from Upland on the left-hand side, blah, blah, blah. His license plate is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Am I allowed to say a license plate number over this? Okay. Well, even him, he did stalk me. I mean, all right, whatever. But I still know his license plate number to this day. We end up like egging his house, fucking his car up and shit like that. Well, one night we see him at the school, and we got like 15 people with us because we had a big ass crew. We had like 15 people with us. We see him drive up. We drive in right behind him because we saw him driving around. He takes off hard. We're chasing him. We got another car over here and stuff. He ends up at Gary Dexter Park. We were like, what's up, man? You fucking stalking us? And he was real quiet. He was like, I'm not doing anything. And we were like, man, you been stalking us? And he like takes off into the darkness, like backwards. It was crazy as hell. Never saw him again. That was it. There's a lot of fucking crazy nuts out there that do shit like that. Now, you got to remember, I was 17 years old, 18 years old, in shape and stuff like that. If he's going to do that to me, he's definitely going to do that to young people. I just saw on the news not too long ago, this kid was walking home. It's a big thing. You can see it on YouTube. I guess he got up to his house, and you can see a car stopping, and he starts screaming, throwing rocks at him. And apparently the people were trying to offer him candy to get in the car. That drives me insane. Kidnapping and harming children and stuff like that, that drives me so fucking insane. Like, literally. I can't believe people do that. It's so fucked up. It's like, one thing they need to do is start shutting down on crime. If you kidnap or anything like that, give them life. No paroles, nothing. Give them death sentences, all that stuff. That stuff will stop that shit. I mean, fuck. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. But this is what I gotta say. So, Karla Rodriguez, she vanished. No trace of her. They're trying to do a DNA thing because the Las Vegas actually has hope that she's still alive. Metro still has hope that she's alive. And I really hope to God she is. I really hope she can reunite with her family one day. It's been an extremely long time, but 1999, that's over 20 years ago, so it's a very, very sad situation. It drives me nuts thinking about it. I'm gonna try to find more about this case. They don't have any kind of suspects and stuff, but that area, it's not the best area. So I'm not saying, even back then it wasn't the nicest area. Yeah, her family probably lived there for a while, so they knew a lot of people in the neighborhood. But if you have kids, you keep them close. I mean, literally, close. Nowadays, you don't really worry about that because there's not a lot of kids outside. There's they're never outside anymore. You just don't see it. You never see kids outside, playing football and stuff like that, unless they're on like a youth little league team and stuff like that, or at the skate park. That's really it. I never see kids outside playing football, basketball. I just don't see it anymore. Trick or treating. I have 4 trick or treaters. That's it. When I was a kid, there was hundreds of kids outside. It's just different than thing. In a way, it's a good thing. Kids are at home, they're safe, and it's just a very scary situation. It really is. And this case has always bothered me, of course, just like my other cases, but this one really is scary. She was a little girl. Just a fear she had to have had. I couldn't even imagine. And, her family had to live through that. I don't think I would have survived it. Because you automatically assume the worst, 1999 was a long time. I'm gonna end this video, guys. I gotta work tomorrow, so definitely subscribe to the channel at Bad Habit Kingdoms. Thank you guys for your support. I'll go over more about this, a little bit tomorrow, and next week I'll add more to the Camille Dotson case. I want to look into some things this week, just some, ideas of what I have. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Show some support, guys. Have a good night.